American Motors presents Concept 80, cars for the 1980s, a challenge towards conservation, ideas of what will dominate the automobile industry in the near future. This is what Concept 80 is all about.
I really enjoy the show. I like the cars. I really do.
It's really good that you can come out and see the cars, to have the employees come out and see them. There's a really neat concept.
Well, I think it was a good idea having the show. I think it's very interesting. I'm impressed. I'm glad they put it on.
I think they're wonderful.
Totally encouraging.
Concept 80 made its debut in Detroit on May the 26th. It presents AMC's approach to passenger cars and recreational vehicles for the 1980s, from electric cars to scaled-down Jeeps, from a van to a pair of refreshing new cars referred to as Concept 1 and Concept 2.
Now, except for one vehicle, which is the battery-powered postal service vehicle, which you'll see, you must understand we are not committing to build the Concept 80 vehicles necessarily. But they do demonstrate that we have some innovative ideas on future small car design, on providing increasing values in lighter, smaller, more efficient automobiles.
American Motors is again capturing the imagination of auto experts and the confidence of the news media.
All right, speaking with Dave Smith of Ward's Auto Magazine. Dave, I've always admired you as maybe one of the more, I don't like to see this word intelligent, but more astute persons when it comes to automobiles. And I was remarking to Bob Krimgard, our coordinator of TV a few minutes ago, that as we observe the media in general, when they come here, there are not a lot of specialists. You seem to be a specialist. Bob Berman seems to be a specialist. What is your concept of Concept 80 right now?
Well, I think they're very fine-looking automobiles. I especially like the 3, the van, and Concept 1 and 2, I think are really nice.
All right, Bill Barra, newsman from Channel 4. Why do you say all those nasty things about American Motors? You told me to ask you that.
I don't know. It must be something in our family heritage. I don't know. Makes me
I know, Bill. A lot of people see you on TV here, and of course they remember you from WLIP radio days. But here in Detroit at Concept 80, what I really want to get you is because people recognize you. I think people have a little respect for you because you get around to the different automobile companies, I think. Give your impressions of Concept 80 in general, the reason for it, and also some of the cars that may have impressed you or not impressed you.
I really enjoy the show. I like the cars. I really do. In fact, I wish you were making a lot of them tomorrow. I think it would help out the sales tremendously. I was particularly impressed with the Concept 1. I like it. I think it's a viable car, not for the 1980s, but now.
Detroit was the first of a tour of 7 major cities for Concept 80 and was viewed by financial analysts, suppliers, AMC employees, the news media, and a group of nearly 1,000 VIPs from Detroit, including 24 corporate officers from other automobile manufacturers. Roy D. Chapin, Jr., chairman of the board of American Motors, explains why the corporation was presenting Concept 80.
What we intend to do is this. In each of these cities, we're going to talk with the press, with bankers, with financial analysts, with businessmen, with educators, with leaders from essentially every area of the community. Our purpose is twofold. First, we want to put the spotlight on small cars and how they are right for America in a time of high-cost energy and prospectively maybe scarce energy. And secondly, we want to put the spotlight on our company, on American Motors, and our capability to develop good small cars, not only for now, for today, but also for tomorrow. There isn't any doubt but what the small car market, which we currently compete, is going to be 3 or perhaps even 4 times as big as it has in the years gone by. We see it coming in somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 to 8 million cars a year, and I'm talking now about domestic, smaller, compact types of cars. And this is where our product strength has always been. It's always been greatest right where the market is coming to. Over the most recent years, we have consistently maintained somewhere between 8 and 10% of the subcompact and compact car markets. And this year even, in spite of the problems that we're having, which we're all aware of, we have about 9% of the subcompact segment, and actually, as a matter of fact, that's a little higher than we got a year ago, and we're at about 8% of the compact. Now, Our share of this big future market that I talked about just a minute ago probably won't stay at those levels of penetration, but it'll be in a much larger market. And so even at a lower share, our volume prospects will obviously be up. There isn't any question but what we stand to gain from the energy problem, and for that matter from the national move that this will make happen into smaller cars. But we can't wait for the market to come our way, and we won't wait. Concept 80 is one way to emphasize what we are as a company and what we stand for, to show people that in terms of everything that a small car should be, roomy, comfortable, fun to drive, economical, we know what we're doing. During the last 5 years, as we announced this morning, we have invested more than $340 million in passenger car operations and in passenger car facilities, plus about $80 million in Jeep vehicles, our Toledo manufacturing facilities, our AM General Corporation, and our technical engineering activities here in Detroit. We are investing $135 million in passenger car operations this year and next as part of a program to improve our product quality and to ensure that our products are competitive and suited to the demands of the growing market that we see coming for small cars. We are a small car specialist. We always have been. We're going to continue to be. Our Concept 80 show is about small cars, what they are, what they can be. Now, let me repeat what I have said publicly. Let me repeat. We have no intention of going out of the passenger car business. So don't you believe anything like that you may hear or listen to or read. In fact, as you can tell by not only the numbers I've just quoted to you, but by the product programs that you will see coming, our position is quite the opposite. We intend to become a more effective competitor than we have been even in the past.
Feel about these cars in the next decade as an employee of American Motor Show?
Well, the color hits me first, and I think the colors in these are a lot better, and the styling is a lot more futuristic.
The press had a story out about us not being in the passenger car business much longer. Mr. Chapin said today that was, well, in effect, ridiculous bunk and that kind of a thing. How do the employees in Detroit feel about that? Has it bothered you at all, and does this maybe help you a little bit?
It bothered us a lot because there wasn't a retraction made as big as the article was that saying that we weren't going to be in the passenger car business, and it hurts us really to hear it, because then everybody loses faith in us, and it really did bother us a lot.
What about for Concept 80 then? We're talking about dream cars, not the cars. These may not come out, although between you and I got a suspicion at least 3 or 4 of them will make it in a couple of years. Does that build your confidence as an employee, and also do you think it'll do something for the public to realize that we're here?
Yeah, because there's different styles than just the Gremlin and the Hornet. I mean, when you think of American Motors, that's usually all you think of, and these cars will really, really help it, I think.
Bumper going to become a reality as you have it on Concept 1 and 2, you think?
Well, we're not so sure that it'll be as you see it, but color keying does an awful lot for bumpers. In the past, everyone's wanted chrome bumpers, Jim, as you know, and management has felt in the past that chrome was a big part of the decorative part of the car. But since the bumpers have started to protrude, and of course since we've had new developments by the Davis Sorb Company, Davison Rubber, and some of the other Hudai and some of the other industries, we've found that we can integrate the bumper again with the body and get a no-damage situation. And by color keying, it really blends it all together and makes it one total concept again. I think it's a growing thing that's going to happen. We're going to have some very good-looking front ends again.
Is that Barcelona 2 an example of what you just spoke about?
The Barcelona 2 is a very good example of that. We did that last year, and we were very excited about the concept of a specialty vehicle and a little bit more luxury, and we want to bake that and bring that right down into all these size cars. And we're very interested in having luxury concepts, no matter what the size the car is.
I would say I'm impressed mostly with the van and with the smaller Jeep over here. Probably my 2 favorites.
Let's go back to talking about the passenger car business. Was there ever a doubt in your mind, or was it just a kind of a thing that it's nice to have something like this happen to kind of back you up?
I think it's reassuring.
People are thinking more with the federal government that everything's going to fuel economy, and in order to get that, you've got to have just a plain-looking, ordinary car, which isn't true. I think we're demonstrating that.
That's good. So you do feel a lot better. Well, let me put it this way. After coming out here, does it give you a better feeling, at least, about the future of American Motors?
Yes, it does. I think everybody is kind of feeling a little down right now, and with all the publicity in the paper that we're getting out of the market, I think this really can change everybody around.
I own a Jeep myself, and I have 2 American Motor cars, and as an employee, I'm concerned.
You're doing your thing. You got 3 AMC vehicles in there.
No, 2 AMC vehicles, right. And to me, it makes me feel good. I'm glad the employees came here to check this out. I think we should get involved, because when you ask people where you work, you say American Motors, and you want them to feel like you're trying to sell a car anyways. And I've drove the Pace around and the other cars, and I really like the cars they have. And to me, this new concept, I think will do good. I do think the people will like them.
Welcome to Concept 80, a presentation of idea vehicles for the 1980s from American Motors Corporation, a collection of exciting automotive concepts with a very serious underlying theme. As last winter's energy crisis proved, as President Carter's recent proposals to Congress and the nation emphasized, as we are all aware through our daily living, America is wasting much of its most vital resource, energy, and we must stop, beginning now. American Motors invites you here today to join a war on waste. Gas-guzzling cars consume far too much of our most precious energy resources. They are energy gluttons, big wasters of fuel and the energy required to produce them. We believe the time to turn America toward the sensible solution of smaller cars is now. These idea cars for the 1980s represent AMC's long experience in small car design and its continuing response to the needs of American motorists. We use the term war on waste because the facts are that staggering. If the 2 million people who purchased big cars in 1976 had purchased subcompacts instead, the savings would have been 1.5 million tons of steel and thousands of tons more of such materials as aluminum, copper, glass, lead, plastic, and rubber. Translated into energy savings, big car buyers squandered more than 20 million barrels of crude oil, about 40 billion kilowatt hours of electricity, and about 130 billion cubic feet of natural gas in 1976. Applying these figures to people needs, the natural gas wasted could have heated 750,000 northern U.S. homes for a year. The electricity would have served 4 million homes for a year, and the gasoline would have provided 15 billion extra miles of driving. Big cars are big wasters. And because of this unnecessary waste of energy and materials, Americans can expect changes in the cars for the 1980s, as suggested by the design seen here today. However, as the market moves in the direction of the smaller, more fuel-efficient cars, buyers will find they are not making great sacrifices in comfort or convenience. Instead, they will find the smaller cars to be more enjoyable than the big energy wasters of today and less costly to own and operate.
This may be the first time in a long time that you've even looked at small cars, and we urge you to look closely. More than ever, because of the need to conserve energy, small cars are important to America's future. Since introducing the first compact cars back in the 50s, American Motors has dedicated itself to a product philosophy that is responsive to the needs of consumers. What you see here are our concepts of energy-efficient vehicles we believe most Americans will be driving in the 1980s. All of these idea cars have a wheelbase less than 100 inches, yet all combine efficient exterior size with more usable interior room. They offer all the luxury Americans are used to, but they're shorter, lighter, and more fuel efficient. They are designed to conserve energy, and at the same time, they are designed for American-style driving on American highways.
Concept 80 presents 6 unique concept cars from AMC. The theme of Concept 1 blends styling and function in an attractive, smaller, energy-saving car. Its wedge design embodies a spacious interior for 3 across front and rear seating. Slim pillars, all-around visibility, thin yet solid doors, and reduced metal overhang. While dimensionally similar to the wedge design Concept 1, the Concept 2 advances the look of the 80s another stage, obsoleting the current square box look. Interior dimensions remain generous. Visibility is improved by a short hood, fast windshield, and expanded glass area. The center structural roll band adds strength to the roof area and unifies the lower and upper body sections. Concept 2 also has integral soft bumpers and headlamps concealed by flush sliding panels. Concept AM van, which reaches for a new level of fun and function, is an attractive go-anywhere vehicle that opens new recreational possibilities for van fans, especially if four-wheel drive equipped. Surprisingly, the AM van is 2 inches shorter than the VW Beetle. Its super-wide tires with vector wheels, clamshell rear doors, porthole panels, and candy apple finish serve the continuing interest in individuality. Designed as a 4-passenger sports hatchback, the Grand Touring is a statement of prestige car excellence. Its luxurious interior of leather and cord texture bucket seats is set off by deep pile carpeting throughout. Opera-style recessed quarter windows, genuine wire wheels, and rally-type road lights within the Venturi grille contribute to the theme of elegance and performance. Concept Jeep 2 demonstrates Jeep Corporation's exploration of new ways to reduce vehicle size while maintaining usable interior room. The scaled-down version of the Jeep CJ5 preserves the ruggedness and fun-to-drive character of the popular CJ series. In contrast to the current production CJ5, the Jeep 2 is 2 feet shorter and 9 inches lower, and the wheelbase at 76 inches is 8 inches shorter. A new format for an electric-powered vehicle takes shape in Concept Electron, a 3-passenger commuter car designed for short-trip urban transportation. Based on previous development of the AMC Amitron, a vehicle powered by a lightweight lithium battery system, the Electron anticipates further advances in electronic technology in the 1980s. The Electron's wheelbase is 60 inches. It is 85 inches long, 69.5 inches wide, and 46 inches high. The clamshell-style roof swings back on rear-mounted pivots for entry and egress.
American Motors is working every day toward providing Americans with the kind of transportation realistically attuned to our nation's needs and toward maintaining a personal mobility we value so highly. If our country is to continue to grow, its freedom of mobility must be preserved, and this means smaller, more energy-efficient cars. As we said, it's a war on waste, and AMC accepts the challenge. And speaking of challenges, please take a moment to evaluate the surprising and interesting comparison in that corner of the exhibit.
I think one of the more interesting things here at Concept 80 in Detroit at Raleigh House is the comparison, if you would, of an Eldorado Cadillac and Pacer. The room inside these vehicles, and they're kind of classy, both of them. So I'm going to ask a couple of employees of American Motors here in Detroit. They're sitting in the back seats of these cars. Why don't you climb out of there first, because you look like you're lost anyway. Can you get out of there okay? There you go. Okay. Since we're into women's liberation these days, why don't you stand over here and you can be last for a change. What's your name?
Dan Dever.
Dan, where do you work?
Detroit Owner Relations.
Owner Relations. How about hopping in there and then going back over there and let us know what you think of it? Dan's about, what is he, 6'1", 6'2", big guy. What's your name, by the way?
I'm Jean Bowles.
And where do you work?
Detroit Owner Relations.
Owner Relations, both of you. Oh, that's why you know each other so well.
That's how we know each other.
Should I use the passenger seat?
Sure. Any way you want to try. I'm just curious about how you feel about it. I know you're going to be quite biased on this, but still I'd like to get your impressions on it. Okay? Now why don't you do the same thing while I start talking here? All right, now I know, like I say, I know this is biased, but what is your impression of this and then the idea of us doing this here?
I don't think there's quite a comparison between a Cadillac and a Pacer, but I've driven and ridden a Pacer before. It gives a pretty good ride for a small car.
What about space-wise when you're sitting in front of this one?
Front seat, pretty good in the Pacer for a small car.
Have you been over in this area before? Have you been over here to look at these before just now?
Mm-hmm.
Have you read what's behind me here?
No, I haven't.
All right, would you say that they're pretty close in size?
Yeah, interior-wise, yeah. The back seat on the Cadillacs are very small.
Because I think there's just a couple of inches total difference in square inches in here. What about Concept 80 in general here?
I was pretty pleased with it overall.
Do you think what is it? Maybe for instance, we've had a lot of adverse publicity. I think has it given you somewhat of a better feeling about, say, about our future as relation to you as an employee, and also as relations to the media, news media?
As far as the general public is concerned, it'll be a boost to their interest in AMC.
What would be if you could take a vehicle here that has impressed you for futuristic reasons, for dream car reasons, or something along like that? Like, for instance, we have
the Concept 1 and Concept 2 for the two that I thought were best designed for the future.
And primarily what? What are some of the things you like about them?
The styling and the small size.
Is that going to help you in owner relations a little bit?
Well, I think the small size people are going to have to go to that eventually, and although Americans may not like it, they enjoy their big cars, but that's what's going to happen.
I'm not trying to compare the two cars because obviously this is a luxury car.
Right.
But in size-wise, does it make you feel at least kind of nice to know that in the Pacer you've got
a very similar size, very similar. I think maybe it was easier, the back room, and I tried it, was in there before we started, and front length room, very similar. I'm short to begin with, so I wouldn't have trouble. But size, very easy to get out in Pacer, just as easy as the Cadillac here.
A little unusual, but I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the company you represent.
My name is Matt Roberts, and I represent Whitco. We manufacture all the soft tops for your Jeep vehicles.
What's your impression of the Jeep? We got a CJ2?
Yes, we think it needs a soft top.
It's quite a vehicle. I was kind of surprised to see it myself. This is the first time I've seen these vehicles. What is maybe the things that may have impressed you about the show that you've seen so far?
Well, I think basically the advanced concepts that are being presented here are certainly new. I think that's important. I think that's what the consumer's looking for, something new. I don't think any particular model is, it's going to have a certain lifespan, and that's it. And you have to replace it with a new idea, and I think that's what American Motors has done here.
Matt, do you think that in the past, maybe some of the car companies, maybe all companies, were a little bit guilty of saying, well, the style is not going to change anymore, so we'll go along with it, and maybe we get caught a little bit short on changing styles?
Yeah, I think that's perhaps true. I think everybody looks at the Volkswagen and says, well, geez, look at that. It's continued on and on, but that's certainly the exception and not the rule. What people are looking for is new, and particularly with the competition you have in the domestic market today.
Does this convince you, or did you have any doubts about American Motors' future in the passenger car business?
Well, frankly, I didn't have any doubts, but I do feel that there have to be people out there that probably do because of some of the publicity, which is certainly unwarranted. And I think this will confirm, however, to anybody that's interested that American Motors is here to stay.
So let me assure you of this. We're all concerned, naturally, about our sales decline in the past year and a half. But we're going to work our way out of it. There's a place in this expanding market for good small cars, and that's what we make. We're living through a difficult period, but ahead we have new opportunities of a dimension really that in the past perhaps we hardly even dreamed. And we intend to be good enough and smart enough to take advantage of these opportunities. Now, as you know, we have a new president-elect at American Motors who will officially assume these duties on the 1st of June. I'd like to present him to you now. Here's Jerry Myers.
Thank you, Roy. On Friday afternoon, as Mr. Chapin said, the board of directors elected me to be the future president of American Motors and to replace Bill Luneberg. I now know, and incidentally, it is to be effective on June the 1st. So I now know what Jimmy Carter must have felt like on November the 12th last year. Because as president-elect, I can hardly wait to get started on the job that has to be done. I'm not going to make a long speech today, or even a short speech. I'll save that till June the 1st, when it has some official backing, and then you may hear more, and I guarantee you will. But I want to tell you how I feel about replacing, and how fortunate I am in replacing a man like Bill Luneberg. Because I'm stepping into a job, and it means that I'm inheriting an outstanding team that Bill Luneberg put together during the last 10 years. A few moments ago, Bill Hotchkiss, who I have known in this company for 15 years, was reminiscing with me over in the Jeep Concept 2 vehicle in the other room. And he didn't know it, but he was recounting to me how things were 15 years ago, and how we were struggling with ordinary business-type situations that, in usual senses, in normal ways, as organizations are built, we shouldn't have to be dealing with. We shouldn't have to be coping with some things that can be well organized and can be organizations that can be well manned. That job is done. We are no longer doing those sorts of things. And I don't know where you are, Bill, but you were saying just the thing that I'm trying to say at the moment. We have an organization that has been built keenly, and an organization that's been well staffed. And that didn't exist 10 years ago, or certainly not 15 years ago. Roy Chapin and Bill McNeely, and our vice chairman, and I are committed to the objective to make this company a success. And we're all going to do it. And I predict it's going to be rewarding for all of us.
Concept 80 demonstrates the possibilities for smaller, fuel-efficient vehicles that conform to the nation's need for energy conservation while serving the personal transportation needs of American motorists through the 1980s. It is designed to be supportive of the President's program to conserve energy through development of more fuel-efficient cars. It demonstrates the thinking of American motors to today and tomorrow. And speaking of tomorrow and the future of American motors in the passenger car industry.
We're here to stay in the passenger car business and in the other automotive markets where we presently are a major factor.
Concept 80, ideas from American motors for the 1980s.